geeks come out at night. The geeks come out at night. The geeks come out at night. The geeks come out. The geeks come out at night.
Hey everybody, welcome to Keep Crawlin with Mike and Brendan. I am one of your co-hosts, Mr. Michael Curtis, and joining with me as always on one side in another television set is
your other co-host, Brendan LaSalle, at your service.
And we are here to say goodbye to Keep Crawlin with Mike and Brendan. Well, wait, hold on. Let's phrase it. This is the last regular episode. So this is not the end of Keep Crawling. It is just the fact that we will not be on, well, let's put it this way. I was doing a little research today, and season 3 of Keep Crawling with Mike and Brendan began October 17th, 2022. So it has been over almost a year since we started season 3. We have done 10 episodes. So, so basically things have changed since we started the show in 2020, back, when the rest of the world changed. So we basically, my responsibilities have grown. Brendan's responsibilities have grown. We just do not have the time to, do everything we have to do on the day job and do this on a regular schedule.
Yeah.
So rather than let you guys all kind of fester and wait for the next time to do this, we have just decided, okay, we're going to stop doing regular shows. We'll keep doing specials, like, we'll do the ABC after school special, every day we'll get the big special, big whirling thing in. This is our final regular show, but we will be back in literally like 2 weeks. We will be back for our Halloween show. So we're not like going away forever. We're just not going to be turning into us like once a month. So
it'll be the shortest gap in shows we've had in quite a while. Doing in 2 weeks.
Exactly.
Yeah. Marsamel asks, is this going to be like when Kiss had their last tour? No, Mike and I like one another.
Yeah.
Ooh, hot.
That was complete base. So anyway, so basically this is just kind of, us farewell for now. We will be back. We'll be back for Halloween. I'm sure we'll probably do, like something around Cyclops Con. We'll probably do something around Gen Con. Any other kind of big thing that when Brendan and I just feel like hanging out for a half hour or an hour or whatever. We'll find an excuse to do another one of these. But so there we go. So that's it's the end of it, but it's more like it's just like the big intervention, a big interval between this and we do the next one. So but people have been very, very we've got a lot of kind of like very emotional emails and text messages and stuff like that. So it's the end of the show, but we're not going anywhere. So but thank you all. All I can say, where were all these when we were doing these for 3 seasons?
Absolutely. Thanks so much for tuning in and for sending questions and for supporting the show and just for coming and hanging out with us. This was really a cure for some real heavy blues in the early parts of the lockdown, and whatever else, it succeeded in that 100%. And I love those shows, so I'm just super glad we're still doing it,
Yeah, very much so. Like the entire the title of the show was Keep Crawling, and we did it because this came out during the pandemic. So we just like, this is bad times, but you just keep going, like keep playing, and we kind of serve that purpose. We were just talking before we went live. I think the Goodman Games Twitch channel had a couple of actual play shows. I think this was like kind of the first talk show format. And when we kind of started, it was a desert. The Goodman Games Twitch channel was a bit of a desert because we were responsible. We were doing everything ourselves. But now you take a look at the schedule. We have Elena. We have someone who knows what they're doing as our producer. We have whose job is basically to keep the Twitch schedule running and everything. So I feel that Brendan and I could like step away. Job is done, and there's a whole new. We can rest upon our laurels and watch. We can sit down, Pizza Party with Joy Royale and not have to worry about actually having to eat with that.
Absolutely. It'll be easy too because my laurels have gotten so big since the last. You know what? Strike that. Sorry.
So, all right. So there we go. So that's So before we dive into, this is going to be an Ask Us Anything question show. So hold off on your questions right now. We have some in the pipe, and we'll be opening up things. But we're going to kind of a little look down memory lane for a little bit. But first of all, Brendan, you just did Con on the Cob. How was Con on the Cob?
Down on the Cob was fantastic. That is an amazing show out there in Richfield, Ohio. Had a wonderful time. Ran a bunch of games for some good people. Saw some music. Saw a lot of cool cosplay. It was really excellent. Really had a good time. And if you are in range, if you are in range of Cleveland, if you can make it out there, it's a really interesting show. There's some fantastic art, some really unique vendors. There's always music and contests and things going on all weekend. Plus mini golf and air hockey. Come on, come on. You know
what did you run?
I ran a new X-Crawl adventure that I'm running now called Dungeon City Limits. I ran that a couple of times. I ran my new first level DCC adventure, and then I ran some old convention favorites, Planet Caravan. Oh, and you know what I dusted off was Dinosaur Planet. I hadn't run that one in a minute, and we had a hell of a Dinosaur Planet run, and my dinosaurs wound up taking over a spaceship, crashing another spaceship, and then flying off into space. So we're gonna see. It's just perfect ending for a perfect weekend. Great time.
Sounds good. Sounds good. I was actually just saw something on social media this week. Somebody was complaining about, it's like, when is Brendan needs to do more Black Sabbath, themed adventures. And I said, you apparently haven't gone to convention.
Yeah.
There's at least 2 in the pipe that he's been working on. So
yeah, I got a bunch queued up that I'm ready to go, and I'm just waiting for the right time in the schedule to strike.
You're right. Me too. All right. All right. So before we get to the question part of the show, I just a little bit of trivia. Like I was saying, I was looking at kind of our the extended folder that I have of everything Keep Crawling since April 29th, 2020 was when I officially put the pitch together for Joe and got this approval. So here's the show concept that was originally pitched. Let's see how well we did here now. So, okay. So the title, Keep Crawling with Mike and Brendan. I think we nailed that one, right? Right. Show concept. Mike and Brendan talk about game design and game mastering for 30 minutes, punctuated with jokes, pop culture references, special guests, and the occasional pre-recorded segment. So what do you think, Brendan?
I'm going to say we're a C+. We have never pre-recorded anything.
No, that's not true. That's not true. Kojo sent us a pre-recorded video in the very first season.
Oh, yeah. B-. Boom.
So,
yeah.
So our intentions were good.
Yes, yeah, they were. Once you got there, every show eventually becomes about itself. And we sort of expanded and discovered what really worked for us. And we honestly, there's a lot of stuff. A lot of forums for us to talk about game design. So we lean more into the stuff we really like to. And we talked a lot about music and pop culture and the writing and everything. So, but I think we talked a lot about game design. It wasn't
originally we pitched for 30 minutes. We got an hour because we didn't have anything else on the show.
Yeah,
It wasn't like we were spill over into the next time slot. Without anybody off. But it was punctuated with jokes, pop culture references. We did have special guests. I think overall we did a B+.
B+.
No. Even back then we did have
take that, every guidance counselor I ever had in your face.
But most importantly, the biggest thing that we did get was I have in this is theme song. The geese come out. The geese come out tonight, as performed to Houdini's "The Freaks Come Out at Night." This is currently a work in progress with the help of Brendan's sister. Not yet confirmed, however. However, eventually that was confirmed. So,
yeah.
Big thanks to your sister for giving us this awesome theme song we've had for 3 seasons now. No.
They killed it. But and I want to point out here, right? Like the theme song idea was 100% Mike's. And like this is the thing. You could Mike is a person of rare depths, and I always forget that he's a fellow hip hop fan. I mean, he likes a lot of stuff like I do, but he's got that at his core. So when he sprung that on me, and it was like, this show is going to be amazingly fun. So, it was super excited about.
I have pictures of me in my parachute pants. I have my cred from back in the day. No,
I'm telling you.
So that was so all total after 3 seasons, this is our tally. We have done, including the show, we have done 32 regular shows of Keep Crawling with Mike and Brendan, which means we can't go into syndication. You need something like 60 episodes in order to go to syndication, at least on television. It was something like basically it's like 3 seasons, but we don't have enough episodes, so no residuals, Brendan. So
Why should this be any different than
so we're still going to be dependent on the fans to buy us the occasional cheeseburger at a convention. So so we've done 32 regular shows. We have done 2 Halloween specials, and which will be 3 in a couple of weeks. We have done 1 New Year's Eve special. Remember our New Year's Eve special?
Yes, I do.
We celebrated New Year's Eve in 2 time zones before we burned out.
Yeah, it was a really good show, actually, too. If you watch that, Joe came on with that crazy costume.
Joe came on. We had Brad and Jess came on. We had Dieter came on. I think it was basically it was during the pandemic, so like anybody was going out, so we had to do it. So. Yeah,
that was a good New Year's Eve too. That wound up being like, you know what I mean? Like I had fun that New Year's Eve. I had fun, and like there have been a while there I didn't have a whole lot of fun New Year's Eve. So thank you all for sharing it with us and for being a part of it.
Yeah. And we had one dress rehearsal show which we only broadcasted on the secret Twitch channel. Just to make sure we knew what we were doing. And when I say knew what we were doing, there's a lot of quotation marks around new. It was just can we make things work? So we did that, and then of course there was the famous Lost episode, the episode that would have won us an Emmy.
Yeah.
But
I cried. Mike took his shirt off.
We came up with the bleeding edge of game design.
Oh my God!
Was everything like it, but that's it. No, so that's it. So all in all, it has been a productive 3 years, or 3 seasons, because the history prop. This is a finale. So this is they'll update you in the chat. So that was it. So it's been a lot of fun. Like I said, 32 shows plus change, and it's time to move on. Let's see what's going on. So all right. So with that said, we have got a couple of questions, first of all, so we're going to start off with some of the stuff that people have sent in, and then we'll also take some questions from the chat. So Brendan, are we ready to dive in and figure out what the fans want to know about us here in our finale here? So
yes, Tim White's afraid we're going to go for a St. Elsewhere. But
we are not in a snow globe. Patrick Ewing is not going to.
Oh my God! Oh. Yeah, right. Sorry, go ahead. I'm still chatting to people here in the chat room.
Okay. All right. Okay. So, all right. So our first question is from John David. John David, thank you for sending in your question. As for us, when can we expect a mega dungeon for X-Crawl, and when can we get any more Shutter Mountain love? I feel Mike has abandoned the hill folk. I have not abandoned the hill folk. First of all, because they are Shud folk. All right. Brendan, since we call it out firstly, when can we expect a mega dungeon for X-Crawl?
It's funny. I've actually been prepped for that. Before Goodman Games, when I was doing stuff for Panda Hit, every dungeon we did for X-Crawl was a 3-level barn burner, with like 15, 20 rooms per and big encounters. And they were big enough that I could have a little bit of some small encounters in there and sort of parody of those sort of like little alcove rooms and even wandering stuff, So the format we use for Goodman Games obviously doesn't really speak to that. But I mean, I pitched not a mega dungeon, but like another 3-level huge dungeon to be the crawl for the back of the XCC core book, and I had it. It was something I had been working on for a while. I had it ready to go, and Joe said too long. Let's not do it. But I would certainly love to do one. I think that the X-Crawl mega dungeon might be a season in a box, is how I picture it, where you're like, you would do a couple of events right in a row with like some connective tissue, You
see, now my whole thing is that much like my opinion about Dungeon Crawl DCC is it doesn't fit the Mega Dungeon format. I don't think X-Crawl fits the Mega Dungeon format either, because I think the thing is, it's like, if you were doing a professional sport, which this is the premise of this and everything like that, nobody's going to want to watch the same, basically the same setting. It's always going to be, you have like rival, different settings, different DJs and everything like that.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously you're Mr. X Crawl, but that when I saw the question, I was just like, it doesn't fit, because in the classic mega dungeon thing, that is the tentpole dungeon. That's the thing that you keep going back to, and it's 10 levels or whatever. And I mean, different levels have different themes or everything, but I think it's definitely X Crawl something where you want to be in Detroit, doing one event in Detroit and then one somewhere else and everything.
Yeah, so it wouldn't be a mega dungeon per se, because no one would sit still for that long and it wouldn't make any sense. It would be a season where you would have a bunch of connected adventures with something going on between them, maybe some cheating or gangsters or espionage or loose monsters or something along those lines. But yeah, I don't know that a mega, like a real there wouldn't be an X Crawl stone hell. It wouldn't.
Right. Not what we consider it would be, I know this people, it would be the adventure path more along the way,
exactly.
But the traditional mega dungeon, I don't think it would work. The same reason I don't think it works for dungeon D6E. I think it's more interesting when you can spread out and everything. But the second part of the section is when can we get more Shutter Mountain stuff? Well, see, this is the advantage of being kicking around long enough. Eventually, if people other than me start doing Shutter Mountain stuff, and that has kind of always been the intention. We've had Brendan wrote the our Shutter Mountain adventure. We also had the Kickstarter we had a third party Shutter Mountain adventure.
Death.
I would love to see more people take Shutter Mountain and run it. I mean, it's kind of like with Brendan, the same thing with X Crawl. I mean, it's been part of your life for so long, it's kind of arrived when you can sit back and see other people take your ideas and, do stuff with it, which you never expected. So, so that's what I think. I would, will I ever go back to the Shutter Mountains? Never say never, but, I don't have anything currently cooking. Reason show is ending. Do not have a lot of time to do stuff. I'm busy working on the X Crawl Mega Dungeon. Apparently, I'm just trying to work that next. So that's my life. All right.
I have ideas for a new Shutter Mountain adventure, but I've got a lot of things I have to get done before I'm ready to pitch something. Like, I could pitch it, but what if Mike says yes, write that, and I had to go, not now, I'm busy. I'd have to. So I've got some ideas, but none of them have been fleshed out yet. I think one of my goals for next year is I want to write, even if I don't publish them, I want to write a Lankmar adventure and I want to write a Shutter Mountain adventure just to run at conventions. You know what I mean? For now. And then maybe later on down the road, we do something with them.
Jess, Brendan's Shutter Mountain adventure was the holiday adventure of last year. So Ben came the Monsters of Midwinter, if I remember.
Came the Monsters of Midwinter. Oh, and I have another one too. I have the Incident at Toad Fork from the
which is
Free RPG Day.
Where Free RPG Day also. So if you're looking for more stuff and you don't have Free RPG Day 2022 or the holiday adventure for last year, both of those Brendan were responsible for. All right. All right, so that was a question that's sent in. We've got more, but let's do we have something from the chat? I know you've been keeping an eye on the chat, Brendan. You have a question? Somebody came out. There's something that wasn't a ask question. I got rid of like 95% of them right now, right? If I know it.
No, it would. So Foxy says from Judge Foxy, hey Foxy, what's up? And welcome, welcome to the chat. Yeah, come on, man, don't shit them orders. But he says that if you could have a DCC spell in real life, what would it be? All right, so honestly, mine would be neutralize poison or disease, and I would just go across the country.
You're not wrong. Yeah, I mean,
I would just cure people of stuff. I'd walk the earth. I'd say something wise. Cure your poison. Cure your disease. Tip my hat.
Yeah. I mean, that's hard to beat. That's hard to beat, especially when you're over the hill of 50. You're like, hey,
you know what I mean? I'd be neutralizing something every day, pretty much. So yeah, that's what I would do.
But if I'm being completely self-centered and don't care about anything else, fly, man.
Fly would be pretty tight.
I'm gonna fly. That's it.
Yeah, we could have both. Like you could fly me around the country. It'd be like you just drop me off at the hospital.
Lois Lane, I'll be Superman. You know what I'm
saying? Hell yeah! I mean,
we can hop over. We can visit Bruce in England
yep,
anytime we wanted
exactly.
to. We can go to any con we wanted to. You know, I mean, it'd be wonderful. Yeah. So all right. So So that's it. So fly, but in a more generous form. We neutralize disease avoid. Although that's gonna restore vitality. Also, you know? So, yeah. Anything that get me back into like body that was 25, I'd be very happy.
Oh, I know, right?
All right. Okay. All right. Okay. So next question. We have one from Nacho Sevilla Noarbi. I'm not sure if I'm mangling your last name. Sorry about that.
Nachito.
I didn't know that was your last name. I'm going as Nacho Sevilla. Anyway, so Nacho's question for us is: what strange movie would you like to play or run as if it were a DCC/X-Crawl/MCC adventure, even if not actually possible because of IP rights or because it would be too difficult to turn into something either runnable or commercial? No.
Yeah, that's a good one. Okay, so honestly, if you were going to do something that you absolutely couldn't convert, that would be like but you do it in DCC. I would like to do a very dark, twisted Dungeon Crawl Classics version of Lord of the Rings. It would be my version of it. It would be so, you know what I mean? It would be like, you know, gross. It would be gross.
But I was just saying, Nacho, he asked what strange movie. I think he wanted us to pull something from the back of our,
Oh, okay.
I think.
Oh, I see what you're saying. You go. I'll have one.
I've had a time to think about this. So all right, and this actually kind of ties into Shutter Mountain Adventure because this would be perfect for a Shutter Mountain Adventure. But this would be the DCC version of I Drink Your Blood. No, I don't know.
Oh,
if you're not aware of the classic exploitation 1971 exploitation film, which is I Drink Your Blood, it basically a group of satanic hippies comes to a mountain town. And during one of their black masses, somebody like one of the locals sees them and they like grab her and assault her, and she goes back home, and they decide to get back at the hippies by taking rabid blood from a dead dog and putting it in meat pies and feeding them to the hippies. And the hippies all freak out and turn into zombies, and then some of the townspeople turn into zombies. It's like a zombie outbreak flame, except everybody has rabies instead of zombies. And it has the greatest unsampled line. I don't know why Rob Zombie has not taken this line in it, but it's the greatest piece of cinematography, like screenwriting ever. Let it be known that Satan was an acid head, so let's all freak out. So why hasn't Rob Zombie sampled that? That's what I want to know. I mean, that should be like before any one of his cuts. I mean,
all right, so
you got. I had it like literally, like I could reach over a little more, pick it up on the Blu-ray. So.
Gotcha. All right, you know what? You inspired me. If I, like one that we probably this is actually a possibility. Rock and Rule. Remember that one?
Oh yeah.
Rock and Rule.
I own that. I bought that one on streaming because it took me forever to find that. But
yeah, they had it for a while. It was up on YouTube. It has been removed. I'm sure they're working something out in the deal memo right now. But it's Rock and Rule. It is the classic story of the young woman. It's like Devil and Daniel Webster. The young woman who happens to be an anthropomorphic mouse who wants to go on and she wants to be a singer. She wants to be famous. She wants to be popular, and she is talked into selling her soul to Mock, who is a very, very bad dude. Theme song by Lou Reed, though.
You think he's happy, but he's not.
He's not. I love that. Yep. I love that the devil has backup singers. That's my kind of devil. You know what I mean?
That's Lou Reed is in that. Debbie Harry.
Yeah, your man from what's it? I can't think of it.
Pop, but that might be that might be more because like Mock. I think they actually kind of based it.
Yeah, nah.
Iggy Pop like Bowie. So.
Yeah, I think it's got the dude from who sang Almost Paradise. That singer is in a duet with somebody else. Almost Paradise.
Not Meatloaf. No, that's not Paradise by National Light. I think.
Yeah, different Paradise.
Robin Zander, Tony Hogarth is saying, is that I don't know.
I don't from Cheap Trick. I don't think so, but I could be wrong. I don't know. So you could be right. I will look it up.
No. Yeah, so that's it. So that's a good one. Rock and roll. Because you could do that. You could do that with like DCC. You could do that with MCC. I mean,
Yeah,
yeah.
I think it'd be a mix. I think it'd be because it's certainly post-apocalyptic, but it's also clearly magic.
Hey,
And then
Nacho, go to bed, man. What are you doing up? It's like 2 a.m. your time.
Yeah, right. Good for you. Good for you.
It's some sleep. We're not worth staying up for.
Brad says DCC strawberry shortcake. I don't know. Ooh, Rocky Horror Picture Show. It's just a jump to the left.
Oh,
It is Guy from Loverboy. It is Guy from Loverboy. He's got a song in there. All right. Well, that's great. Thank you so much, Nacho.
Here. You want to? Here's a little bit of trivia for you. I have driven Mick Jones from Foreigner's car.
Wow. Was he like asleep in the backseat or something? Or
no, he was actually he was at one point when I was in college. I spent a summer working at a gas station and a garage, and he was living out on Long Island at the time or something. He brought his car in we had to work done, and they're like car. So I did. So there you go. No. The car smelled fresher than one would imagine, but this is Foreigner. I mean, it's not like it's like Snoop Dogg's car.
Yeah. I mean, they had some. It feels like the first time they had some big hits. They, Cold as Ice.
All right. All right. So if people, okay. I have a question. I have a question for Brendan for you. All right. Mm-hmm. While we're waiting for your chat to come up with some more ones here, we've got some other ones here. Okay. Brendan, of what work of yours overall are you most proud of? Game design, personal writing, anything like that. What
sure. Yeah, absolutely. So my personal favorite of my adventures is the Web of All Torment. I feel like from a mechanical standpoint, from an actual like adventure thing, it's pretty gruesome. So I don't like advertise it as much because it's not good for families. But I feel like from just a strictly an adventure standpoint, I tried to approach it with like the thought of like, how would you make a slasher type film actually, like a slasher type scenario actually frightening to a group of adventurers who are used to dealing with dragons and wizards and everything. And I feel like it did that. I feel like it's a very, it's a scary, frightening situation. I think it has some very deep weirdness in it. I layered in a lot of things to it that I really like. So I think of all the stuff that I've done, I feel like that's, just for I'm going to use the term accomplished here. You know what I mean? Which is, whatever that means. But I feel like that's my most accomplished adventure that's out there. I'm very happy with that. I mean, the X-Crawl stuff is so wacky and manic to me that I'm happy with all of it on its own way. But it always feels like I feel like I can't really compare that to anybody else's anything. But right. I feel like the Web of All Torment, I was very happy with that one. That's one of my.
This is what you are most proud of, not what people like most or anything like that.
That is what I think I shall forever probably be most known either for X-Crawl or Hole in the Sky, but the one I'm most proud of is the Web of All Torment. I think that's a nasty adventure and fun, and if you survive that, you've done something. How about yourself? Same question to you. How about yourself?
Lankmar. The DCC Lankmar. I think that is the books mean so much to me, and knowing that, like, having kind of grown up with what TSR did with that. When we started that project, it was always the TSR grade book, City of Adventure. That was always kind of our baseline. We were talking about like it has to at least be this good, and I
fully surpassed it.
I'm not even. I'm just going to say is that we definitely hit our goal, and the fact that people I still hear really nice things about that, and I mean, Lankmar isn't for everybody, but the people who do like it or have been introduced to it, I'm very proud of that. I feel like that's some of and I can't take credit for all of that either, but I mean, that was kind of the first, that's the reason I have the job I have now, but just the fact it was a great team and a lot of hard work going into it and everything. So,
you know what, you were the absolute driving force, and honestly, for my money, acting up in Lankmar is maybe the single best adventure You know what I mean? It's the best. It's
Thank
so
you.
good.
It's one of my favorites too. I
Yeah.
think that depending on what hour of the day you might ask me, that might be my favorite one. But I think a
Yeah.
part of that has to do is because it's Lankmar, and second of all is because it is. People run that one and it's never the same twice. You know, so.
Oh yeah, yeah. I've run it and I played it, and the you know, there's so much like I don't know. It's such a beautiful sandboxy urban thing that it's just I don't know. It's an absolute thrill, and it's so fun, and yeah, I get unpredictable how it's going to turn out, and it really rewards both smart play but also like out of the box thinking. You know,
Yeah.
so I think both of those are really really great.
Yeah. So, all right. All right. Let's go on. If anybody else have more questions in the chat, I mean, we've got more, but since you people are kind enough to tune in line, if you got something, feel free to throw them out. Here's one. We have somebody who's actually in the chat right now. Hector Cruz, Mr. Hector Farmer himself, has sent this question. It's like, okay,
What's up?
So Hector writes, what is your favorite antagonist NPC that you've come up with? Is there anything you would change about them now?
Oh, good question.
Yeah.
All right. So my favorite antagonist NPC is from Hole in the Sky, and it is Cur Maxima, the evil giant jack-o'-lantern watchdog that just picks off the party one at a time. You know, seems really more. He's more like upset at their rudeness than anything else, and that he. I have so much fun role playing him. And I love that, like, he's going to try to talk you out of your invasion. He's going to try to talk you into leaving, and he's simply going to punctuate that by ripping someone in half or throwing them inside his giant flaming maw. So I think Cur Maxima, as far as like I get so excited when I get a chance to role play him. Like I want to put him in something else because I still love running that adventure, and I've had more fun with him, and just just him like saying that's the very limit while biting someone's head off and throwing them across the room. So how about you, Mike? What's yours?
But before you, was there anything you would change about them now?
Oh, that's a great question. I think okay, you know what? Part of me says, yeah, I would put a couple of the sample there are some sample phrases that I would say, well, if I use these, I will sort of rush myself into the character. So that very often that's how I'll handle like a big NPC. I'll have some things ready in my head that they would say, and by saying them out loud, then it immediately snaps me into it. But I would actually rather not try to enforce my style of play on people playing the adventure. I'd rather not have them do that and have them interpret things differently. So I don't know. I think maybe I might, I don't know. I don't think I would make any changes. I think he's just fine the way he is.
Okay. No, the question doesn't say what would you change. It is. So
yeah, I wouldn't. I said I think I got that right. I got that one guy right. He's horrifying. You wouldn't like him, So.
All right.
Same question, Michael. What about you?
I'm gonna cheat a little bit, and I'm gonna say the host of chaos from Intrigue of the Court of Chaos.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because there are 5 really cool, powerful NPCs, and like all of them have their, I'm very happy the way that they the kind of how they came out to be. Like Nihul has like 3 arms, and Mog was just says, the cloak with just arms sticking out the cowl and everything. I think they feel really weird. I mean, Doug did an incredible job of like kind of taking the ideas I had, as he always does, and turning it into something visual. But I like their rivalry. I kind of like what they're up to, and they're kind of all against each other, but at the same time they are all serving the same purpose. I think they're great. I should really need to kind of bring them back for something one of these days. So that's it. I think the only thing I'm not even 100% about it. It's something I think even back then I was kind of went back and forth about. But Dizali, the strangled bride, she's kind of like the only female member of the court. So I know where I was going with her. I was drawing like a lot of the kind of like supernatural, vengeful woman spirit type thing. That's like that's kind of a trope. Either La Lorna or something. But that's it. And I don't, I feel bad because this is like it kind of defies her as being a victim of domestic violence and everything. She's definitely an empowered figure, but I don't necessarily know. That could be problematic for people.
Yeah.
How I might have written that differently now. I don't know. That's the only thing that I'm still. I think in a lot of ways she's fine, but I can see why people might find that that might be. It might be an ick factor for some people. Something
Yeah.
it might struck a little. People might X-card that, and I get that. So no, that's about it. So,
Still top-notch adventure, though.
what was that?
I say it's still a top-notch adventure, and I think it's the perfect sequel to everyone's favorite kickoff adventure, which is Sailors in the Starless Sea. So
it's the well. I don't think it should be run with a new group because literally it could end your DCC campaign if people are like not familiar with one another, and somebody really decides to put the screws to another player and everything. So that's it. Handle people and for Court of Chaos, how did Mike handle people end up with a succubus reward? I don't remember the succubus reward. It's been a while. So the way I run it is that the Court of Chaos are jerks. They promise you everything and then they don't deliver jack bone. So yeah, that's the way I run it. That's why like the stuff they promise is like over the moon and back. Oh yeah, man. Armor and everything like that. When I run it, you get nothing. You get what you gonna do? That's the Court of Chaos.
Yep. Oh yeah. And I am not going to say that a freelance writer has an inherent understanding of that kind of personality and dealing with those sort of forces. I'm just saying.
I'm just, I'm nobody we currently work for because otherwise.
No. Oh no. No.
If you're in this business long enough.
Yeah. You'll never be broke because there's always money out there that you're never going to get. You know what I mean? So.
All right. So Tim L. White had a question for us. He said, "I would like to know how you all split out weird stuff at the table versus things that need changing in your adventure when playtesting." I'm not. I don't know if I'm 100%. I don't know if I'm 100%. Grokking the question here.
Let me see. Back it up.
We're bringing the weird stuff at the table, right?
Yeah.
Are you just thinking about do you mean like the really off the wall like ideas that people come up with? Was it the players or was it the adventure?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Like, does the weirdness happen more in your head, or is it the interaction between you and the players at the table during playtesting? I feel like, at least for me personally, I feel like I sort of have all of this stuff churning around in there, and when I bring it to the playtest, actions will bring out stuff that you can go, oh yeah, but I'll find myself sort of daydreaming around the adventures a lot before I go into a thing like that, especially with a new thing that I'm working on. So every once in a while, it's more like the players won't bring an idea for weirdness, but they very often will sort of bring during a playtest, someone will try an action or do a thing that will make you realize, oh, I need to flesh out this bit over here, or oh, I can't do this; it's not going to work because whatever, But I feel like I feel like the creative stuff is the creative stuff, You get player actions and you get conflict from playtest from the player side of that, but I think all of the creative stuff has to be with the writer for the most part,
we also the way we do adventures we have our styles are wildly differently.
It's true.
You run stuff of just like an outline or kind of like a rough idea of it, and I like actually to have the kind of the adventure actually written out to the point where theoretically, if all is well, I could submit it the day after the con.
Yeah.
Just because that helps me kind of process everything. So when I'm playtesting stuff, a lot of this stuff is already firmly in place unless something really goes off the rails. But I think with the answer to when you're clarifying when you're playtesting, how do you know if it was bad players or bad adventure? And the simple idea that is that you just playtested a lot, because if it's a bad group, then the next time you run it, it'll be like, oh, okay, it was that group, and that's the reason why Brendan and I run stuff a heck of a lot of times. Brendan is like, I've only play tested that 30 times. It's like I don't think it's quite ready for publication. So, or like, that's what I run at cons that year. Just so I guess if you throw it out there to enough people, you can tell like what if the problem is the adventure or if the problem is the players. So if the problem keeps coming up every time you run it, then clearly it's the adventure. So, all right.
Yeah, there's a great quote from my favorite novel, Bluebeard by Kurt Vonnegut, where somebody asks, he asks the main character asks one of his artist friends, how can I tell if a painting is good or not? And his friend says, it's easy. Just look at 1,000,000 paintings and then you can never be wrong, So it just comes from just, some of that instinct you develop just for doing it for a long, 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 long time. Nerd Geek Games for running it how many times with many players? So I got honestly, the real answer is as many times as you can. But I mean, I don't know. I say Neon Knights is one that I happen to know. Like I ran that about 30 times before I started actually typing it up and sending it off to Joseph. But again, Mike and I work in totally different ways, and so and I think part of the thing as a creative, you got to figure that out. A big part of being a creative is figuring out your process. It's good to learn someone else's process because it will help you develop your own process. You try out what they do and you go, well, that didn't work for me. Let me try this instead, But I think, I think that, say the minimum I would feel comfortable running a thing before I pitched it would be about 4 times. And I wouldn't want to ever publish anything if I hadn't gotten somebody else to run it at least once or twice. At least.
Yeah. So, all right. Traders Alpha is how do you dial in difficulty in testing? Again, it's if a group of players that was too hard, you tweak it immediately or wait for the trainer player to suggest it was too hard. It's literally the answer is just run it a lot. Because dice run hot, dice run cold, groups of players, so it's and if it's a trend, and something is when you talk about difficulty, it's DCC, so it's so swingy anyway. It's just something like if you're worrying about like what's the CR rating for this monk octopus, it's like it's not a concern. It's just there you go.
And also it's player to player. There are players who will lose half of their head during an adventure and go, oh my gosh, that was amazing. And then there are guys whose bow gets broken and they're like, oh, what are you doing? That's not... Yeah. So it's I'm not making fun of that guy. I'm just saying that like there's just to illustrate just to illustrate, you really kind of have to pay attention to the actual game and go, hey, nobody can hit Creeposaurus, or hey, this guy just got his butt kicked,
I think the reason we don't run into that is because we're somewhat competent game designers. I think so a lot of the stuff which is like just poor game design doesn't even show up. So we don't have to worry about like, oh, you can't hit the Spinosaurus because or so all right. Have you Shade Vickers, have you all pitched something that was just too dark and turned down? Nope. I think that's just because I know what the expectations are. I've been with Goodman so long that I can come up with an idea of like, okay, it's like, nah, all right, come on. How about you, Brendan? Is there anything you ever with Brendan which Joe has shot down for just being, not being, obviously not, like just for being too dark or too evil or anything?
No. My follow-up to Hole in the Sky, I was starting to work on what I was going to make. Like I said, all right, I want to make the ultimate, darkest, most nihilistic adventure that anyone's ever seen. And like literally 2 weeks into the process of just beginning to think about that, I got Black Sun Death Crawl by James McGeorge and said, oh, no, he's got that done. And there was no point in doing that. So I started doing something, you know what I mean? I changed gears and did something else. So yeah, I've had.
I'm saying that's not my place anyway. I mean, like I like scary stuff and everything like that, but I never have even considered becoming edgelord Mike Curtis. I mean, it's just like like because literally, if I was writing that adventure, I would not be truthful to myself when I was writing that adventure.
Mhm.
You know, so
Yeah.
yeah. So
I've written some grim stuff. I feel like to bring it up again, I feel like the Web of Old Torment. I mean, that's a dark adventure, but it's labeled as a horror adventure. It's very creepy and gross, and there's some parts of it that are like, yeah, you know.
Yeah, like Sinister Sutures, that's also, I mean, it's also a horror one, but it's I literally try to kind of get under your skin with that. I try to, I try to make you freaked out by I try to creep you out rather than like gross you out or make it like, oh my God, that's so evil. So yeah. All right, Brendan, I got a question for you.
I'm ready.
What is your favorite DCC house rule?
My favorite DCC house rule is the Deshane rule, which I have, and I use it constantly, and I think I codified it in the X-Crawl Classics rules. The Deshane rule is, so rules as written. If you're if you're a cleric heals someone, they can only heal them to a maximum number. Only heal them a maximum number of dice equal to their level. So the Deshane rule says you would still, if they score that, if they roll more, so they would get more dice, you roll all of the dice and just take the highest ones. So for example, if you were playing a second level character and I scored 3 dice of healing on you, then you would roll all 3 dice and keep the highest 2. I think it's a very fair way to sort of reward a good check that you got on that thing, and just a little bit of power creep, in a good way, I hope.
Yep. Yep.
How about, it's a good one.
It's a good one.
Yeah. Not mine, but good. How about you, Mike? Anything that you always use?
I don't think this is a house rule because I've been playing this from day one and everything, but warriors and dwarves always roll D die. Yep.
Yeah.
Like every attack. There's none of this like I roll a D die and then I use that same D die for if I have multiple attacks. Every time you make an attack, you roll a D die. So I mean, because it doesn't make sense to me. It's like, well, obviously I'll never be able to pull off a D this round because I rolled a 1.
Yeah, no,
I mean, it's a fresh attack. So like when if you're a dwarf, you hit somebody with the axe and you don't pull off that deed, well, you still got a shield. You can always try to Captain America, so yep, always roll D die. And that's it.
Interesting.
Try a mighty deed with anyone. Well,
yeah. I like that. Ah, very cool. Okay, so
all right. So so we have another question. This one is interesting because also gets to Brendan and I get to use a phrase we don't get to use nearly enough. But okay, so this is from Michael Davis, and he said, how would you attempt to run 100 DCC adventures in 100 hours without making players feel cheated?
Yes. So Michael has the idea. He wants to do an event where he runs 100 DCC adventures in 100 hours, knowing that it's basically impossible, but he wants to find a way to possibly do that. I think that's pretty amazing.
It is.
And as it just so happens, Mr. Curtis and I had, in our extreme foresight, had thought about this many, many years ago, and we came up with a concept adventure. So we've been back burnering and percolating ever since and getting ready for it. Michael, what was that game?
That would be the Greyhawk Boot Party.
Absolutely. So here's how the Greyhawk Boot Party starts, okay? So imagine you've got your filled out dungeon with all the corridors and the hallways and everything, and here's a few monsters over here, and here's the dragon, and here's this. Aha! We take out the walls. When they open the front door, everything is there. Just wait. Ready to go. They all come in at once. Somebody throws a blanket over the cleric. Bam! Greyhawk Boot Party.
Greyhawk Boot Party. That's it. It's just the kobolds are there kicking you. That's it. The red dragon just did this for wind buffing the crap out of you. It's just and if you run it, you have to do this.
Yep. Absolutely.
Role play all 30 monsters, or in this case, 100 monsters
in one go, just in one big go. Spell burn that, my friends. That's the I love that. So that's how.
Literally, the only way they can run 100 DCC adventures 100 hours is just take the kind of iconic encounter from each adventure and just make that its own room. That's yeah.
Yes. But I just love that. It's like you would just go 100 dungeons. You just go door to door. You bang on the door. Hey, we've got beef. We'll be in the parking lot.
That's it, right?
You know, and then whoever comes out, I guess we're fighting. And then maybe you make it to the next one. You know, so either that or it's actually very easy to do 100 dungeons in 100 hours if you kill everybody in the first room.
Yeah, that's it.
And then give them new dudes for the second one. Breeze. I'll kill you in 8 minutes. Give me a chance.
All right, Brendan. In the movie of your life, who plays you? What actor when they do the biopic about the life of Brendan LaSalle?
Yeah.
Who do they get to play you?
I'd like Tilda Swinton, but I just don't know that we could score her because she can do anything really. But honestly, I think if I could get somebody like a young. Just I don't know, it's maybe like a young either Christopher Walken. I think he, I think he'd do a good job with me. Or what's the name of the guy? Oh, good.
I'm rolling these dice.
It's an X crawl dungeon. Oh, why aren't you looking for secret doors? Because he's, you better. Who was Dr. Octopus in the first one?
Albert Molina.
Albert Molina. Yeah. I thought there's one movie where he looks a little like me, and every once in a while I would get teased with pictures of him from one thing where he looks a little bit like me. But that's as close as I can get. I think I've got a weird look.
Wow. Tim L. White is so honest. It says Mike is John Cusack. Years ago, when I was a younger, better looking man, I always said that in the movie of my life, I would want to have John Cusack play me. No, I don't think that. Although there was a very big private where a couple of folks I knew, they get that you had this kind of Ethan Hawke vibe, which I was I built to the best of my ability back then.
Yeah, and like Edward Norton, I mean. Like maybe like American History X Norton at the end of the movie.
I don't know who'd play 50-year-old Mike. I don't know. And mostly because I think I've aged out of most of the actors I know. I mean, or the actors I know are in much better shape than I am. So
Yeah. I mean, it'd be a nice role for somebody because they get to beef up. It'd be like, first day there, we're gonna whatever actor you got, they'd be like, well, you're gonna play Brendan LaSalle, so start hitting them donuts. You know what I mean?
Then I know David Barista. Because David Barista has he's like the last thing he said, I want to play Hemingway just so he can stop working out and get fat and everything.
Word.
Like, Barista, that's it.
Yeah. Nerd Geek Game says Sam Jackson because he's a bad MF like Uncle B. You know what? That warms my heart. And if that was an option, I'd be like sold. You know what I mean? Like 100%.
I had a dear friend of mine back in the prequel trilogy said, you know what? What these movies should have been Mace Windu and Obi-Wan Kenobi flying around the galaxy fighting crime. And I was like, yeah that's it. All right. And you have Ewan McGregor can play me. Samuel L. Jackson can play you. They can travel around the country running games. That's it.
All right. Yeah. Just doing it. You know what I mean? I would love that. Oh, I would love that.
All right, 8 minutes. 8 minutes coming in toward the end. So if anybody has we still got some other questions, but if anybody has anything out, this might be your last chance for like 2 weeks to answer any question live. So so don't skip on it. So all right. Brendan?
Yes.
Best gaming snack.
Okay, this is not going to be a popular choice, but the best gaming snack from a practical standpoint is grapes. They don't mess your hands up. They're relatively healthy. You can eat a lot of them. And if you are moved to throw one at somebody, it's just going to bounce off and not be a big deal. So I say grapes. I know, but it's,
Mm-hmm.
How about you? What's your best gaming snack?
Oh,
nachos. I know.
I have never had a bad nacho in my life.
No.
I've had crappy nachos, but it's better than not nachos.
Oh yeah. Movie nachos, homemade in the microwave nachos, American cheese nachos. They're not great, but they're nachos.
Let me say, I mean, God, I remember 7-Eleven nachos in high school and everything. Let me tell you something. If I had nachos at Gen Con this year, Elena would have gone hungry. There would be no nachos left to share. Elena has a question for us. And I think we've covered this one before, but it's always a fun one. I'll revisit this. Elena writes, what would be the IP that you would most want to make into an adventure?
Ooh. IP most want to make into like a single adventure? Let me think. Something big and undergroundy. Oh, you know what would be really cool? Like if you were going to like do the whole thing out. Imagine you did Temple of Doom, but you shifted it out to where it was enough for a group to do, and then heightened the magic on the Kali side, so they had some evil spell power, and even more heart ripping. I'd have that guy ripping out a heart every round. Like that would be on a natural 20, Mola Rom, just comes up with a heart, and good luck, dude. Also, it's a funnel. Did I mention it's a funnel? It's a funnel.
I think that's implied, right?
yeah, it's a funnel. You're the kids. You play the kids. Indy never comes, and you have to escape on your own. Meanwhile, Buddy is snatching out hearts just everywhere you look.
You want to know something? When I went to North Texas, North Texas Con, every year I would run like one weird game. One year I ran the Adventures of Indiana Jones, the old TSR game. And the problem with the TSR game is that they didn't actually have character creation rules. You had to play one of the pre-gens of it, one of the characters from the films. So of course everybody wants to play Indiana Jones. So the whole premise was Indiana Jones has been kidnapped. So everybody else, all of his friends had to band together to go rescue him. So the player, the MVP of that game was the guy who was the waiter at the beginning of Temple of Doom, because they actually have his character. He's in the movie for like 30 seconds, but he's got like a machine gun. He's like gunning down the people who were playing Marion and Willie, who were like, we're gonna rescue my boyfriend. Like, what? There was a whole
oh, it's fun.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. But what IP would I like if just a single adventure? Good question. I think I covered that. I think it was I Drink Your Blood, but no.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've always said like I would love to like just do something with like Stephen King short stories, like just like a monster book of like like the finger that comes out. I don't know. Let's see.
Yeah. For a single adventure, for a genre, for me, it would absolutely be Discworld. But for a single adventure is much more challenging. It's hard to think of what would be like one thing that would be this fabulous, incredible adventure.
Yeah, I mean, I already own I know the adventure of the Keep from the 1980s movie.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
In the I think Mayfair. No, it was Mayfair game. The ones who did roll it, I think that was Mayfair. But
yeah, it was D&D rules, but it wasn't TSR.
Yeah, I think I tried to trade Alec Hammer my copy of the Keep for like the Walled City Geomorphs or something like that, which is like
yeah.
Which character in the DCC reminds you the most of Joe Goodman?
Ooh. Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. It's weird that there's nobody like Joe Goodman. I mean, am I wrong? He's an absolute unique individual. Who is most like Joe Goodman? I don't know.
I think he's one of the troll lords, like ancillary. He's just not in there. I think it's
Yeah,
let's see. Yeah, I don't know. It's like I've never written anything. Mostly because when Brendan and I were like freelancing, like we don't want to antagonize the money ticket. I put Harley in one of my adventures, but I don't think I ever put Joe in one of those. So.
Yeah, no. I put a lot of little references to people. I like a lot of my friends show up at things. Tim DeShane's in a thing. Steve Gwiski's in a thing. But yeah, I don't think I've ever thought like people like here. Like I don't know. You can't like use to me like someone in a campaign who you're going to have a visceral reaction to when they get killed in a dungeon. You know what I mean? You got to be a little bit more loose than that. Like, I would never put my wife as an NPC in a thing because eventually at some point someone will be like, oh my God, we played your adventure last week and I totally shot blah, blah, blah with a, and I'd be like, wow. And it'd be like, you know what I mean? Like they wouldn't know why. They wouldn't have done anything wrong. It would have been my problem. So I just can't. I can't do that. You know.
I got around that by in Stone. I'm in Stonehell. I put myself in Stonehell, and
Nice.
literally, I'm the most inept person there. Like I was like wrote myself to be the anti Mary Sue.
Uh-huh.
Like like, and it's also kind of like my not so subtle nudge of the fact that I have been imprisoned by Stonehell for so long, like it just eaten so much of my life.
Yeah.
I'm literally like bound up in pages of the adventure in one room, and if you let me free, if you don't watch me, I wander off and get eaten.
That's awesome. I put myself into a piece of fiction. There's a piece of X-Crawl fiction that is in one of the program guides. You'll probably see it from here. I can't remember what year it is though. Maybe it's 2015. It's called Best Possible Combination. And at one point, the one's got a friend who's like a scruffy wizard. He shows up for one paragraph. They ask him if he can do a thing. He's like, no, I can't. You can't do it. And then Hasta Lasagna's out of there. So
all right. Two lightning round. We'll finish with these last two questions, and then we're going to call it a night and the end of the regular series of Keep Crawlin with Mike and Brendan. All right. Let's see. Lena has. What's your favorite tabletop RPG monster, Brendan?
Oh, the Shambling Mound.
Okay.
You know what? Everyone underestimates him, but I will strangle you to death. And he's gets hit points from lightning. Always people forget that.
Mine, Neo Atiug. Not only is it a monster, but it's a telepathic trash monster.
You hate that. Absolutely.
And Traitorous Alf, what RPG book from your childhood that means the most to you, and do you still have it?
Oh yeah, I have my original AD&D Adventurer's Log. It was like a fill in the thing where you could like record your campaigns, and I can just go back there and look at all the names and everybody, you know what I mean, like my old friends, and it mostly has their characters in there, but like it's kind of cool to go back and look at those things. I barely remember the games that are covered anymore in that, but it's an artifact. Yep. How
about you? First edition Player's Handbook with the Trampy cover, signed by Gary Gygax at on 1982, 1983, Mike Magic's Gary Gygax.
That's hot.
Yep. Come on. All right. Well, I think that's it. We're at 10 o'clock. We have done. So it's been fun 3 years. Thank you all for all the love and the participation you've had. Come with us as we bounce from time slot and time. Since we started all this. As I said, this is the end of the regular series of it. We were not the end of hanging out with us in the future. We will be back on October 30th, probably same bat time. Our Halloween special will be in deep dive into horror stuff with a very special guest, Mr. Joey Royale. Because he said he could do it, but we haven't confirmed that again. But we know where he lives, so we can get him on the show one way or the other. So it has been fun. Any final words before we go out, Brendan?
Just thank you so much to everybody for tuning in, and huge thanks to Elena for keeping the lights on, keeping us running, and making us not sound / look like idiots. And Mike, thank you for thinking of this. Thank you for thinking of doing it with me, and it's been so much fun and so enriching. And I'll always be grateful. And you're the best partner a guy could ask for.
I agree with that wholeheartedly. It's always fun hanging out with you. I'm glad we got to do this. I mean, I don't know if we made it through the pandemic. We didn't get to hang out, every week for, an hour and everything like that. Big thanks to Matt Hildebrandt, who put together these awesome backgrounds that we had.
Oh, yeah.
They started off as just cheesy backgrounds, from 70s basement, but Matt, did everything. He added all the cool Goodman game branding to it and everything. Elena, thank you very much and as Brendan said, for taking over this role and freeing us from being the technically inept, show host that we were for 2 seasons, 2 and and thank you all for everybody who has supported us either, physically, emotionally, mentally, financially, tuning in every week. As I tell you, writing is a lonely profession. So if there's a game designer or writer out there, telling them that you like their stuff is pretty much the best thing you can do to make their lives.
Unbelievably so.
In fact, not even us. Right now, after the show is over, if there's a writer out there who you like, you hit them up on social media, send them an email just saying, hey, your stuff is awesome and I really love it. And you will have made their day even more than buying them a cup of coffee. So
100%.
All right. So I think that's it. So we will see you in 2 weeks for our first special Keep Crawlin. But until then, keep crawling without Mike and Brendan. Take it easy, everybody.
Cheers, everyone. Thank you.